Okay. Um, I've been reading these books in order, and I've got hooked. So I'm doing a little binge reading. As you know, I like to read series books. I'm a series person. I like to read the character progression from book to book to book. I like, while the murder mystery is solved each book, I like to watch the characters grow and I get involved in their story, the character's story from book to book to book. So I got involved in this, so I'm doing a binge read. There's only seven. It's one of us. It's a small series. I usually don't do small series, but I got hooked on this, so I'm just gonna follow through with it. So anyway, I got it. So anyways, welcome to the D. Louise series. I'm Christina Kristina, and this is where we do series books. We have no special effects, no special lighting, no special audio. There is not. This just me reading books, talking books. I don't have theme music or theme screens or any of that stuff any of the other channels have. I am very, very low tech. I do Flashback Mondays, so please check out. I'm going through RT Review Romantic Times magazine. That was my book Bible back in the day. I mean, no one else did it like them. I mean, nowadays you've got Goodreads. Who needs those magazines? But back in the day, Romantic Times or Romantic Book Reviews was the Bible. And they did over 200 books a month. No one does that. Those mystery magazines and the Page magazine and New York Review, they don't even come close to what this magazine did. And they did over two, and they did books you actually read. You know, a lot of these magazines, they do popular authors or whatever, books that make you cry type situation. But these, they actually did the Regencies and the romances and the historicals and the inspirational and the sci-fi and the paranormal. So check out Flashback Mondays. And then also check out, like I said, I'm a series person. So check out Fridays for Star Trek. We're doing a Remember When this week. So that's tomorrow. So anyways, damn it, I've got this itch. So anyways, Murder at OCHRE Court. Alyssa Maxwell, I believe this is book 6 in the series. Let's just double check that before I yell at myself later for one. Murder at Breakers, Murder at Marble House, Murder at Beechwood, Murder at Rough Point, Murder at Chateau Chimere. Now, we did Chateau Chimere the other day, and we were left with a little bit of a cliffhanger. She had talked to Mr. James Bennett about getting a job with the New York Herald, and then Derrick had offered her to be partners with his new newspaper, and that's where we left it. And apparently, she chose Mr. Bennett's job in Manhattan. And I went bonkers trying to figure out if I had missed a book, if they had done a book while she was in Manhattan. No, they did not. So apparently she's been gone a year when this book starts out. And she's coming back home. She's decided that Mr. Bennett was not truthful in his offer, or she misunderstood his offer of employment as a hard news reporter, when instead he had her, because of her connections to the Vanderbilts, he had her doing societal information. He wanted to make her the world's best gossip. Who is Liz Smith? Those of you remember Liz Smith from the 80s and 90s, she was like it. Or there was a couple other big ones back then, I don't remember. So anyways, he was going to make her this big name, and she's decided she doesn't want no part of it. She's coming home, and she's corresponded with Derrick once or twice, and she's made a visit home once or twice, but now she's decided she's permanently coming home. So, and she hasn't told anybody her decision yet. She had a talk with Nellie Bly on the way home, and Nellie Bly's like, she got more freedom as a married person than she did as a single white female. So anyway, where was I here? So these are my notes. So apparently at the end of Chateau Chimere, we were left with a cliffhanger, one that we suspected would not go the way we wanted. and it didn't. Derrick had just bought the Sun newspaper and wanted Emma to be co-owner and reporter, but James Bennett offered her a job at his paper in Manhattan, and apparently she took the Bennett's offer. So that's where that book ended. But we didn't know she had taken it in that book. We didn't know she'd taken it till we got to this book. So Emma comes home, arrives home, and catches up with family. Says she's home to stay. So then she's going to do this one final article for the Herald, the coming out of Chloe Cooper Smith. So she is shown the parents have gone above and beyond the call of duty. They have made in a secret room closed off from the ballroom. They've made a throne, a gilded throne, because they're going with the Cleopatra theme since the girl's name is Cleo. And they're going to have, I don't know what's going to happen after that point, but they had this big throne made up. So then she runs into the sister who's in the throne room, and no one's supposed to be in there, and that raises a little suspicion. And then the night of the party, Emma sees Colonel John Jacob Astor at the party, and Mrs. Kipp is trying to confront him about certain things, and he doesn't want to spill the tea. Then Miss Golette is horrified when her daughter openly snubs Silas Grayson. He's a big-time construction person in Manhattan. He's an up-and-coming guy, and she was hoping that her daughter would marry him because he had money, but she snubs him. Huge major snub. You know those society things, you read about those in the Regencies where they walk away or they don't look at them or they don't acknowledge, and it causes a stir. I don't know. So that's a Regency type of thing. So anyway, she gives him a big snub, and later on she tries to go tell Grace that Cleo wanted, what did I say here? I forget what I was going for down here about my notes. But her mother's, the aunt is really upset that she snubbed Silas. And then they do this big reveal at the ball, you know, the throne and the grass carpet and the whole 9 yards. And apparently it's a metal chair and it was covered in gold paint. Anyway, she sits in it and she gets electrocuted. So the girl's electrocuted in front of everybody. So then Jesse's there, and Dale, the electrician who set up the whole thing, is there, and he goes to check it out. He doesn't believe what's happened. He doesn't know what went wrong. Dale gets electrocuted, survives. We are unknown of his injuries at the end of this book. He does sustain and he's still in the hospital. So Jesse also gets injured. Jesse is the detective cop that Emma's been working with. So, you know, in the beginning, my biggest complaint with this book was the number of characters. So now that I'm reading them in order and doing a little bit of a binge reading and reading them close together, I'm able to follow the characters more. I was keeping a chart at the beginning, but now that I've started to get to know the main characters, the recurring characters, it's been easier to follow. So Silas Grayson arrives at the hospital, and Scotty Binsford arrives in the hospital, and Silas makes claims against Dale. He thinks that Dale had been drinking, or it was Dale's fault that the chair happened. And she also sees Jesse in the hospital and tells Jesse that she's decided to stay. Then Derrick arrives. She tells the discussion about her childhood house. Now, we discussed this previously in the other books. Derrick is her parents sold her childhood home, and she's devastated by this. But Derrick bought it, thinking in his brain that he would buy it and him and Emma would live in it as a happy married couple. Emma saw it as a major betrayal. Sometimes this girl is irritating as all hell. You're just like, what are you thinking? But anyway, so Derrick then, she's been using Barney as her horse, and Barney's getting a little elderly in age. So Derrick buys her a new horse and carriage, or a new horse at least, and Barney's a little hurt that he's being replaced. So Barney has feelings too. We might want to talk to Barney. So then she goes to investigate. Emma goes back to OCHRE to investigate Cleo's room because something seems off. Apparently the financial situation might not have been all that it was hyped up to be. Apparently, the only thing upper class in Chloe's room is her clothes. The rest of it is like lower middle class. So they're thinking that there's something financially going on there. Then Emma finds a bag of jewels, and the bag of jewels is missing stuff. So that has to be investigated. Then Patrick Floyd is a new character that comes into play, and he is a widow, and apparently, which will be revealed, he has affection for ALYSSA, which was Chloe's sister. And apparently, it's later revealed that they were going for long walks, and nothing else happened prior to his wife's death. And she died of gas fumes. And apparently, that's another big thing during this story, this book, is the emergence of electricity versus gas. So that's a big part of the story. It's a little subplot in here for the story. So Oliver Kip recently died in the war. He was a soldier, and he had been one of Chloe's suitors. And apparently there's some stuff going on there. That's what Mrs. Kip was approaching John Jacob Astor about it in the earlier chapters. We were not aware of that. It slowly gets revealed as to why she was going after Mr. Astor. Because Mr. Astor's there, and she wants Mr. Astor to clear up the misunderstanding or the result of her son's death. So we'll get to that. Nora Taylor talks to Emma. She says she heard Chloe arguing. There was an argument in Chloe's room. She does not know who the second party was. Then Emma they find the jewels that she had found in Chloe's room. She takes them to a jeweler and confirms that they were of good quality and that pieces had been removed from the jewelry. So then she goes to talk to Mrs. Kip to ask her why she was going after John Jacob Astor, and she tells about her son possibly being engaged undercover with Cleo. That later is probably false, but at the time she believed it to be true. So then she calls Derrick to go with her to talk to the colonel. She also plans on returning his gift, the horse. By the end of the book, she still hasn't returned the horse, but she might. This girl is so stubborn, it drives me crazy. So she also tells him she plans returning his horse, and this is what's frustrating. So they go and they go to the fort, and they talk to Captain Samuel Caldwell and Lieutenant Dorian Norris, who also plays a role in this later. ALYSSA Smith, lady's maid, is discovered with some other jewels that came from the necklace. Derrick rescues her and tries to have a discussion about their possible relationship, but Emma refuses. She goes to OCHRE and talks to the lady's maid, Camille, about her appearance at the fort, how she saw her at the fort. Camille tells her Dorian is courting her, but his parents will never allow the marriage. Then she talks with the head maid and searches Camille's room and finds the missing jewels. So she had the necklace from Chloe's room, and the missing pieces were in Camille's room. So the missing jewels fit the necklace. So then Mr. Milford calls her from, you remember she had the original job at the paper there, and Mr. Milford calls her and wants her to um, have her own societal column. He wants to make her this big society in the world. So she's looking at that. She's kind of pissed off about that too. So I wrote, let's see, I don't know if this is worth going over. Easy if I had been willing to compromise their integrity, my convictions. My stomach sank, taking in the shreds of my fortitude. There was the answer to Nellie Bly's question, and the line I had drawn for myself, which I would not cross. Could not. Could I? The question came as a faint murmur from a place deep inside me where there was no convictions or resolutions born of experience, but rather those naked, undeniable longings that defied logic or wisdom or patience. A place easily silenced or at least ignored when one felt in control of one's destiny, but not now, not when faced with the utter repudiation of it all I had been working for and based upon my life. I was a woman, therefore I must be relegated to something else, something secondary than the goals I had set for myself. Why then should I do the expected thing, the womanly thing, and marry for advantage? Nellie Bly had, and she claimed happiness in her decision. I could, in all likelihood, make a success of marriage. I could make Derrick Andrews happy. But there would always be the admonishment inside me reminding me of what I had done. Always that deep place inside me I would grow to despise. So, like I said, you know, she's got this thing in her head, and she's choosing her career over her heart. She's done it in all the books, in all of the books. She's choosing here over here. She's willing to be a spinster and heartbroken for the rest of her life because of up here. And it's irritating. There could be a compromise. There could be a middle ground someplace, but I don't even think she contemplates it. So she goes to see Randall Cooper Smith, who is Chloe's dad. And then Silas goes to see her. He wants to buy her house. She says it's not for sale, and she mentions that she's aware of his building collapse in Manhattan. Silas threatens her about her house. And then we have a big a chapter on the gas and electricity dispute I mentioned earlier. Then she talks with ALYSSA, says that Oliver loved Cleo. ALYSSA said she had just a walking in the park type situation with Patrick Floyd, and that it had started 2 months before his wife Matilda died. She then goes to see Derrick at his newspaper, the Newport Messenger, and meets his new clerk, Jimmy Hawkins. She tells Derrick of her morning interviews and that Silas Gregson offering to buy her house. She sees Jesse at the hospital and she goes to see Dale but doesn't tell him about Silas. They run into Patrick Floyd, who offers to be Dale's lawyer free of charge because he believes he's innocent, and then she tells Jesse about Silas on the way out. So I was a little upset that she wasn't telling Jesse about Silas, but 2 hours later when they're leaving the hospital, she tells him. So then she tells Mr. Bennett that she is quitting her position at the Herald. She's going to be staying in Newport. Her and Jesse go to the casino to talk to Mr. Cooper Smith about Silas Gregson, while Silas is there and threatens Emma on his way out. Cooper Smith gets upset with Jesse and Emma's questions about Silas' intentions of marrying Cleo. He denies it, and she's like, well, I heard it from Silas himself that he said this at the ball earlier in the book. And everybody else denies it. Cooper Smith gets nervous when Emma brings up the possibility of Silas blaming him for the building collapse in Manhattan and proving it with falsified plans. Mr. Cooper Smith lies, but Jesse and Emma know this because he lied because he's also afraid of Silas. Jesse is tracked down by a newspaper boy who brings him a message from Officer Binsford that there is trouble at the Elms and they need to go right away. So they go right away, and there's another picket kind of thing going on, dispute between electricity and gas. When they arrive, there's a big argument that has ensued, and Emma sees her fellow reporter from the newspaper, Mr. Milford's newspaper. Come here, come say hi. And then she sees an old friend of hers, George Riley, who just makes appearance for like a half a page, and then we never see him again. So how's it going there? Your nails caught. Thank you. Max accuses of using this event to sell newspapers. Mr. Brentwood thinks she's trying to instigate unrest among the workers. All she did was show up. She hasn't said a word. Mrs. Hendrick, the housekeeper over at the Cooper Smith's place, calls Emma to tell her Camille has left the house and she took the necklace with her. And she has one of the footmen, or whatever we call them, follow her. Would you stop? And let's just hold this here. So they follow her and she took the pieces to the jeweler to have it repaired. So they take her back to the house. So then they go and confront ALYSSA about Camille's story, because Camille says that Cleo gave it to her, and that's when it broke. And when they go to talk to ALYSSA, they find Patrick Smith in her room. And on the way out, Nora tells Emma that Camille has had visitors at night. Grace calls her and invites her to dinner. And Grace had mentioned this in the previous book, that she wanted to have Emma for dinner. So when she gets over to Grace's house, Derrick is there. And Derrick asks Emma, his father is ready to talk to him. Come here, you're rubbing on everything, but I know, you hate being on TV. She hates TV. She likes to watch TV. You ever put the U-Log on? There's this one with the cat and the dog, and she'll sit there and watch the cat and the dog for hours. Yeah. Go on. So, Derrick takes her. Stop rubbing my computer. Everybody in town has got to mark my computer. Derrick takes her aside and asks her to run the messenger while he's out of town. His father wants to see him and possibly talking about a reconciliation. They have been separated for a year. His father has been pissed off that Derrick took his mother's side in the previous book. Actually, the book before that. So what he asks her is to run his newspaper while he's out of town. And what Grace and Nellie think, Nellie is her cousin and Grace is his wife, think that Derrick proposed marriage. And they're like, you better say yes, take your time, but say yes. And Derrick and Emma are like, no, this isn't, we weren't discussing marriage, we discussed. And Nellie and Grace don't believe him. So, and on the way home, they discover that someone has set fire to Emma's house. And only one room was damaged. It was sort of kind of professionally done. And she thinks that Silas did it. So the fire marshal comes and says that a Marvitel cocktail, isn't that what it's called when they do the casting? So then Emma, Jesse go to Silas to confront him about the fire. When they get to Greg Grigson's hotel, the casino, wherever he's staying, they see Samuel Caldwell walking out, and they find Mr. Grigson has been shot in the forehead. And it's a very complicated, very multi-layered thing. Apparently, Mr. Grigson has a tattoo on him that has been cut out of his arm. It was, I wrote it down, it was a New York gang. So I thought I wrote it down. The New York 5 Points gang, that's it. So there's the last couple of chapters is very multi-layered. There's many twists and turns. It holds your attention. I couldn't put it down. The whodunit comes out of left field because most of the book you're thinking it's Mr. Grigson, Silas Grigson, And then it's later revealed when he's shot that obviously he can't be the bad guy. The plot is very multi-layered. The ending is a revelation no one saw coming. And once again, the killer had made several appearances during the book, but he was a minor character in the book. I've read some books where the character will make an appearance like "Hi, hello, how are you," and then go off and not seen again. There are some books where the character makes a continual appearance throughout the book, and that's this one. He does make brief appearances as an extra. You think he's an extra character. He's not part of the main thing. So it leaves you a little, you don't suspect him at first if you have a list of suspects going in your list. Till the final end. It's very multi-layered. It's really good. It held my attention. And the ending is a surprise. Well, all right. There are two endings. I'm going to give you that the way I'm talking. Oh, you're so cute. She's so cute. There are two endings. There's the plot ending. There's the story ending of the murder mystery. And like I said, it's very multi-layered, and you didn't see it coming. And then you didn't see it coming, the surprise ending between Derrick and Emma. And I liked it, because Emma makes a small personal realization at the end of the book. And I'm hoping she sticks with it. So that's why I'm going to hurry up and get to the next book, because I want to know what happens. I want to know if she follows through with her heart and goes with it. Because she made a revelation to herself towards the end of the book. And I want to see if she goes through with it. So we'll have to see. Look for that review in a couple of days. After you are such a mess. She loves paper. She's all over my paper. So anyways, I'm gonna leave you with that. I'm not gonna spoil the ending with you, and I'm also gonna say that the personal ending between Derrick and Emma was a surprise too. I was really surprised that she actually went with her heart this time, and I want to see if she follows through. I want to see if I wasn't given false hope. So please check out Flashback Mondays, Star Trek Fridays. Remember me. I have a big spiel on that one. I had planned on going off during one segment, and I ended up going off the whole show. I thought it was going to be a 10-minute, 15, 20-minute vid, and it was over an hour. So anyway, please check it out, and please hit the like and subscribe. Let me know I did a good job. There's no special effects here. There's no special lighting. There's no special editing. There's nothing. There's just me reading books, talking books. So thank you.